Lane Kiffin is settling in at LSU, and Tiger fans are embracing their new role as the villain. And LSU faces Houston in the Texas Bowl as interim coach Frank Wilson prepares to leave for a new job. Now, Arthur. Welcome. I'm Ruddy Rutledge, and he's Arthur. We hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. It's been a minute since we were able to do a show. Arthur and I recently moved, and we've had to deal with all that goes along with that. It was right about the same time the Kiffin family made their move from Mississippi to Louisiana and decided to enrich their lives. Anyway, before we get to our Texas Bowl preview, where the LSU Tigers will be coached by future Ole Miss assistant coach Frank Wilson, I want to address some things that have gone down since our last show. Mostly Lane Kiffin stuff. The Tigers' new head football coach is settling in on the Bayou. Fitting in, I should say. Full coaching staff has been announced for 2026. But I've not yet had a chance to comment on how the national media responded to Coach Kiffin's holiday move a few weeks ago. Like a bunch of Ebenezer Scrooges, with Paul Feinbaum as whatever Christmas ghost looks most like the Crypt Keeper, and Reese Davis as whiny tiny Tim, till Daddy Saban has to put him in a corner and school him on the LSU job. Now, Kiffin has no doubt earned a reputation, but the media criticism to his move was in some cases vicious and over the line. From people who would up and leave their current job for a better one at the drop of a hat, without ever having to deal with a screwed up schedule like what Kiffin had to deal with. And the only thing that stopped their ongoing Lane Kiffin is the Antichrist holiday special was when Michigan coach Sharon Moore showed up, crashed the party, said ho, ho, ho. Well, actually, what I think he said was, "Excuse me while I whip this out." So again, it's been a while since we were able to do a show, and this has died down some recently. But for a while there, if I turned on the TV, if I got on social media, I saw it repeated to me that Lane Kiffin is pretty much the most disgusting piece of trash in the whole entire damn history of football. How dare he want to coach at a place where he can build a legacy, a championship legacy, as opposed to a single playoff appearance? That really grinds some people's gears, apparently. Well, to that I say, good. If LSU's going to be the villain under Kiffin, so be it. Tiger fans have always had a bit of a chip on their shoulder anyway, so that's fine. If you've ever watched pro wrestling, you know there's good guys and there's bad guys, baby faces and heels. Well, with the hiring of Lane Kiffin, LSU has now turned heel. And from what I can tell on the internet and in real life, Tiger fans are doing what good heels do. Playing it up, embracing the role, embracing being the bad guy. It's fun. And turns out a lot of folks didn't want to see this Kiffin-LSU marriage. They didn't want it to be consummated. Kiffin's offense and his personality paired up with LSU's resources and the Tiger fan base, and he's off to a pretty good start. I think he's killing it, actually. Retained most of LSU's high school recruiting class on very short notice after being hired, brought home all the big fish. He retained defensive coordinator Blake Baker, and most of Kiffin's offensive staff is coming down from Oxford for good once they finish up trying to win him some more money in the playoff. Also, Kiffin just brought in a solid defensive line coach from South Carolina, Sterling Lucas, to round out his staff. And a lot of fans are really excited to find out who he's going to land in this next transfer transfer portal that's coming up real soon. LSU is slinging that dough, and the Kiffin haters are out in full force. But having a hated bad guy is nothing new to college football. We've seen plenty of arch villains in this sport. Bama under Saban, USC under Pete Carroll, Miami in the 80s, Steve Spurrier and the Gators in the 90s. And Spurrier leaned into the bad guy role, the villain, like a cool wrestling heel. Had fun with it. Talked the talk and backed it up. But we've also had some bad guys, villains in this sport who were uncool. Like the NCAA in general. And like Notre Dame throughout the years. And by the way, Notre Dame, wow. I hated seeing those two group of 5 teams get in the playoff as much as anybody, but Notre Dame, get over yourselves. We're not playing in a bowl game. We want the rules changed. Don't want to get left out? Join a conference. Beat somebody and stop acting like little bitches. Now, in reality, nobody is truly a villain here. All these programs are just trying to win games and keep the money train coming as best they can in the portal era, the pay-for-play era, with whatever resources are available to them. But one thing to come from this Kiffin move to LSU that is real, very real, is that the LSU-Ole Miss rivalry has never been hotter than it is right now at this moment. It's nasty out there between these two fan bases. And if anybody watching is good friends with an Ole Miss fan, check on them. It's been a few weeks now, but do check on them because a good portion of these folks, on X at least and on YouTube, have been driven completely off the deep end by Kiffin leaving them for LSU of all places. And then their administration turned around and gave their permanent head coaching job to a guy who looks like he could be arrested any day now for being a peeping Tom bastard. Hey, Pete Golding's the one acting all cocky and punchy. He's too good for basketball goals now. This isn't Lane's offense. Some people look at Pete Golding and see Cooter from Dukes of Hazzard. Nothing wrong with that. Cooter was funny. But I see Pete Golding as more of your late 2000s weed dealer who would throw in an extra couple of nugs if you did a freestyle rap with him in the car. But he became a narc around 2012 or so. Good luck, Rebels. Unfortunately, we got a long wait till LSU versus Ole Miss in 2026. But when that day arrives, next September, I think the Tigers' new coach might need a helmet and a vest before he brings his LSU football team out onto that field at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. Bringing his dunk ball goals and his hot yoga mats to the visitor sidelines with insults just raining down on him, even though Lane won't be able to hear half of them or understand half of them, because Mississippi still has a shit ton of people who stutter. Texas Bowl, Saturday, December 27th, LSU versus Houston. First of all, hard to ignore the elephant in the room, and that's interim head coach of LSU, head coach of the Tigers for this game, Frank Wilson, heading to Ole Miss to serve on Golding's staff in 2026. And Wilson's departure to Oxford, of all places, has been the subject of some division within the LSU fan base. A lot of Tiger fans are upset about this. Wilson's been a great recruiter of the New Orleans area for many years for LSU. And here's the thing. Lane Kiffin is familiar with Frank Wilson, very familiar. He's familiar with his coaching abilities and his recruiting abilities. Frank was on Lane's staff at Tennessee years ago. But Lane has his preferred running backs coach in Kevin Smith, who is a very accomplished developer of backfield talent. I'm sure Kiffin's well aware that recruiting New Orleans is extremely important for LSU. I'm certain of that. But he also knows that recruiting in 2025 and 2026 is not like it was for the majority of Frank's time at LSU. Frank is pretty much a dinosaur. The game used to be go into the living room, sweet talk the entire family for 3 hours, then slide a crinkled up brown paper bag with some cash in it underneath the table at the end of the night. Nowadays, in the pay-for-play era, you still got to make the personal connections, still got to compliment the cooking, I'm sure, but you got to show the money more than anything else. Recruiters have become glorified bagmen, and that makes on-field coaching all the more important. It's vital. So my question is to the folks that insist LSU absolutely has to have Frank Wilson, are the elite players from New Orleans, are they really going to turn down big fat payments from LSU? They're going to turn down LSU money, which also means they can hop on the Lane train, be the bad guy, play in front of 100,000 in Tiger Stadium, where all their family can come watch them play from just an hour away. They're going to turn that down just because Uncle Frank whispered some sweet nothings about coming up to Oxford, Mississippi? I just can't see it. I think LSU is going to be all right in New Orleans without Coach Wilson. Maybe Coach Kiffin has a plan, somebody else in mind to eventually take over recruiting in the New Orleans area in the future. The game. 7-5 LSU is back in Houston for the Texas Bowl. Again, feels like Groundhog Day. Maybe Lane can wake us up from this. This is the Tigers' second year in a row to go to this bowl. But regardless of any other details, LSU is playing football on December 27th, so I will be watching. NRG Stadium in the H-Town. 8:15 p.m. Central, late kickoff. Houston has enjoyed a fine season at 9-3. They finished fourth in the Big 12 at 6-3, had some impressive wins where they put up some big numbers on offense. Quarterback is Connor Wegman, who spent 3 years in College Station playing for the Aggies. He threw for 2,400 yards, 21 touchdowns, 9 picks this year, and he's a dual threat. Blake Baker, who ran for over 600 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground, so 32 touchdowns accounted for by Wegman. The Cougars also have 2 running backs LSU will have to slow down. Dean Connors, DJ Butler, both averaged over 4.5 yards a carry, but they shouldn't make for anything this Tiger front seven can't handle. Wide receiver Amari Thomas had 900 yards and 10 touchdowns receiving, and if Mansour Delane were playing, I'd say I ain't worried one bit about Amari Thomas, but Delane ain't playing. So freshman DJ Pickett will need to keep doing what he's been doing, and that's playing corner like a freshman All-American. Tiger opt-outs on D include Harold Perkins, Jack Piper, West Weeks, A.J. Halsey. Delane is out injured, as is Whit Weeks. But with extra time to prepare, and with the way this Tiger defense played to close out the regular season, I think Wegman and the Cougar offense are going to find the going tough against Baker's defense, against the LSU pass rush in particular. Other side of the ball, Garrett Nussmeier is done at LSU. Aaron Anderson's declared for the draft. O-lineman Josh Thompson's opted out. Running back Juwan Johnson and offensive lineman Carius Kern are heading to the portal, but playing for the Tigers in this game. So maybe they stick around. But I don't expect much to change. for this LSU offense with Michael Van Buren at quarterback. Even with the extended practice time, we've watched this same basic offense for 12 games. Where are the points going to come from? They're going to finally put it all together in game number 13. The Houston defense finished 6th in the Big 12 in total D. A little better against the run than against the pass, but the Tiger offensive line is poorly coached. No other way to say it. They are. They have been all season, and that won't change till they get a new O-line coach in the building. You have some talented backs, some explosive receivers, some big targets at tight end, but you hadn't been able to get them the ball consistently, not in space, all season. And the drops haven't helped, which is also poor coaching, partially. I have some slight hope that LSU will come out with some different looks in this one. Maybe some plays in 12 personnel or in 22 personnel. Try to line up and smash some Cougars. Put a D lineman in there at fullback. Have some fun with it. Be sure to feed Harlem Berry and hope he doesn't follow Frank to Oxford. But there's been zero creativity from this offensive staff since the Kelly and Sloan firings. So again, don't expect much to change. These offensive coaches are all out anyway after this game. This is a meaningless bowl game. And with all the opt-outs and injuries on LSU's side, I'm just going to have some fun with this game prediction. Wegman outplays Van Buren, but the Cougars are held to field goals early on instead of touchdowns. Baker plays a lot of the younger Tiger players on defense. And the LSU defensive front eventually takes control of the line of scrimmage as the game wears on. The Tigers get a key interception in the fourth quarter, and they defend their Texas Bowl crown with a late game winning field goal from Damian Ramos. LSU 17, Houston 16. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a happy new year. Enjoy the bowls. For Arthur the Party Dog, I'm Ruddy Rutledge, and this is some Bayou Football.